welcome to the bike show. A bit later on, we're welcoming Don back from Misano in Italy, where he was at World Ducati Week. He survived, and he's here to tell us all about it. But first, if I was to say to you, a superbike and an adventure bike, you'd think that the superbike would be faster around a track, obviously. But in the real world, would a superbike be faster than an adventure bike on normal roads? Well, Matt, you've been getting all scientific, haven't you?
I have. I've been conducting experiments. I took a range of motorbikes. In fact, let's have a look, Harry. Just flick.
What bikes were you using? Let's have a look here.
The idea is, on real roads, riding in real-world paces, would any of these bikes be quicker than the other? You suppose that the sport bike will obviously be quickest, but will that be the case?
Well, hopefully you're going to prove it
I am. Well, the experiment is very scientific.
First up,
yeah, this is the naked GSX S1000, your average naked sporty bike. We also took along the GSX-R 750.
Now, this is a super bike that we're talking about. Now, you'd expect that would be by far.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking as well.
Okay.
What else did I take along with me? Obviously, had to have South Africa. Got to have an adventure bike, don't you? So we took Suzuki's DL1000 V-Strom.
Oh, the little baby.
Yes.
I'm guessing that was quicker than the GSX-R.
That's because you're monumentally stupid.
That's why I'm on the show.
Moving on to the final bike.
The Hayabusa.
Suzuki. We had to have the massive Hayabusa, didn't we? So, yeah, those were the bikes that were in my experiment.
And now, where were you filming this?
Well, I suppose the easiest way to answer that question is watch the film. For any experiment, you first need a location, and this is about as good as it gets. The weather thankfully decides to play along. I've got my heart rate monitor and GPS ready and primed, and finally there's bike number 1 on my to-do list. I choose the GSX S1000 because it's a bike I already know well, and learning this bit of road is going to be difficult enough as it is. The bikes at the end of this test are unfortunately going to have a bit of an advantage as I get used to the conditions. This margin of error will obviously scientifically be accounted for in the results thanks to some science.
Well, my ideas about what will be quickest are dominated by this, the GSX-S 1000. And partly that's due to a beautiful engine, which is easy to get the best from. Don't need to worry too much about having revs on board. But a beautiful riding position, nice and comfortable, easy to move around the bike. We'll just have to see.
The only blots on this glowing resume are slightly choppy suspension and a fuel injection system that isn't the most sophisticated.
A nice little fast S at the end of our impromptu time trial. Last left-hander, which I remember seems to go on forever. Actually, here we go.
So, a benchmark time, and the old ticker only jogged up to 107 beats per minute. This is the GSX-R 750, and it turned 31 years old last year. In 1985, it was arguably the first modern superbike. It outhandled the opposition back then, and it still pretty much does the same thing today. It used to be the middleweight option, but in a world of 800cc triples and 900cc V-twins, the 750 has become the new, improved 600.
I love the way I can brake a little bit deeper and trail the brakes to the middle of the turn, a bit more willingly, easily, than I could do on the naked. You actually feel a lot, even though the suspension's firmer, you're actually feeling a lot less in terms of when I knock through the bike and the bars and the... Damn, it does get quick quickly though.
The 750 feels like it has lots in hand, and it makes the road wide and smooth and effortless because it could so easily go much, much faster. The 750 sets the fastest time, and at 103 BPM doesn't stress me out doing it. So how will the V-Strom fare? A big 1-litre V-twin in a heavyish touring chassis, all dressed up as an adventure bike with tyres to suit. Not ideal ingredients, you might think, for a bit of a blast on the 22.
I'm about halfway down this run, and I've got to say, I think this bike's impressed me more than anything so far. It's only got dual-purpose tyres on, and even though the pegs have started to go down, it's not like the feel are about to let go or anything. Famous last words.
The suspension is soft with loads of travel, and the rubber is a compromise, so you just float along, enjoying the engine and trying to remember that this is supposed to be a sensible bike. One thing I am learning is that all these bikes seem capable of reaching my own fear threshold. As so often these days, I am the limiting factor. I prefer it to the GSXS, and it shows in the time, though it has put my ticker closer to the red line with all the effort involved. Now for the joker in the pack, the little Gixxer. There's not much in the way of horsepower, but with me on it, there is plenty of weight.
Well, this is the 150, and it's downhill acceleration from the start, and yeah, I think I'm a bit big for this bike. Well, since I've left, the throttle has been absolutely flat. That's all there is to it. 90 kilometres an hour. No, 89. Oh, I should have brought something to read. Oh, yeah, 91 kilometres an hour out of that turn. 90 into this one. And 90 through this one. Oh, winding up for the exit. It is 91. Okay, top in 92. I've been on fairground rides that are quicker than this. It has to be said, this is not exciting.
The relatively high heart rate proves only that I can't hold a racing crouch for too long, or else I get cramp and go all dizzy. And that's kind of how the Hayabusa makes me feel anyway. This is a speed king, a drag racing icon, and a big, big bike.
Okay, this is the one that I haven't, in a way, been looking forward to, because it's just so bloody intimidating. You don't need much of a crack at the throttle, to make this thing shoot forward at an alarming rate. But the motor's a belter, so you don't really need to play with the gearbox too much, which is something less to think about. But there's no getting away from it. The old booster, she does weigh a bit, and if you get a corner, a bump mid-corner, it can take a little bit of a while to settle down. Holy shit, the speeds are a bit bigger than they were. The old V-Strom. Ooh, hello, corner.
The relentless, surging mid-range of this monster motor completely changes the nature of this bit of road. It makes it tighter, shorter, and borderline scary. The second quickest time, but the heaviest workout for my heart. The Hayabusa does need effort to ride quickly, but that peak number could just be down to the sheer thrill factor. There's a reason this bike is a legend, after all.
Right, what do you think to my experiment then?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it proved.
Neither am I. I think there's the one thing that really surprised me is that because I was riding there, say, about 75% of effort, because you don't want to go too mad on the road. You need a healthy kind of safety margin.
Yeah.
Speak for yourself. Well, yeah, well, you're an idiot and you won't live to be as old as me. But
That is old.
when you've got that, all those bikes basically, apart from the 150, all those bikes could go as fast as I felt comfortable doing.
So you're saying that really the limiting factor is not the bike itself, it's
on
the rider
public
who's
roads,
on it.
it's the person, yeah. So, I mean, if you're an adventure rider and you want to go riding with your superbike mates, there's no reason you shouldn't, because you should be able to keep up.
Yeah, and I noticed that the booster, that gave you probably the most frights because your heart rate was
what I
going
don't
through the
understand
roof.
is the sort of the racing bikes that are meant to be hard and comfortable and hard work. You had the lowest heart rate.
You know
Yet
why?
Big
Yeah.
comfortable bikes.
Well, the Hayabusa took a lot of muscling around, and it was the one bike that changed that road completely. On everything else, you thought, okay, here's a third gear sweeper, come up to it on the booster, and suddenly, holy cow, I need to brake, and I need to
second
change.
gear.
Yeah,
You didn't say holy cow, did you?
No, I said something else. But yeah, so it took, and it frightened me a couple of times. A couple of times it really caught me out how quick it is.
Okay.
That is a ridiculous,
then
ridiculous
explain
engine.
the high heart rate on the V-Strom.
That was because I frightened myself again, actually.
You frightened yourself with a
Well, the
V-Strom.
pegs went down during a couple of corners and I thought I was crashing. So I was in a mild state of panic.
So,
on
okay,
it.
the scariest bikes are the ones that are meant to be more comfortable, like touring.
Yes.
Basically, what we can draw from this scientific film is that it doesn't matter what bike you're on, you can keep up with your mates on faster or slower bikes.
And that
So
matters really old
basically,
and unfit.
it's the jockey, not the horse. And on that amazing revelation, I think we'll go for an ad break. We'll see you in a minute.